Yo. News is about to open up. Where's my YouTube studio? Am I streaming? Am I on? Bro, I'm pretty sure I'm streaming already. Don't say I'm in. I are. I are. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Alright, news is coming. 50. I'm echoing. Alright. 50 seconds. We're about to get in a trade. Honestly, this could go up, but it could also go down. This is a liquidity sweep right here. By the way, guys, this is a challenge. $30 to an S2000. So yeah. If you look at the 4 hour, it's a liquidity sweep here. 1 hour time frame. Also a sweep. Look at the 4 hour time frame. We have not really a fair value gap yet. The 1 hour, we don't have any. One here. Honestly, if it breaks structure there, I'm gonna long. If you look at the news, it's about to come out. Oh, so we have. Damn. So that's not good. This one is. Okay, that's good for the currency. What's happening to the market right now? Nope, no action yet. This is. Oh, okay. Okay. The news isn't good. It's not enough to give me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. How about Bitcoin? Bitcoin is. Yeah, Bitcoin is going crazy. We need to add US 500 here. Where is that? There. Oh, this one's going crazy. This one is a minimum of zero point 0.3 lots. I don't think I'm willing to trade this. This is too risky. This could liquidate me real quick. But this is the 1 minute time frame. Here, let's look at this. So this is the fair value gap I marked this yesterday, and it seems like it's not gonna come down. I feel like will go up to around here. Let's buy. But we're just gonna open one lot because, come on, bro, it's too risky. I like to. Got a stop loss. Okay, honestly, wait, what leverage am I on? Unlimited. Okay, let's buy more. Damn. Look at 15-minute time frame. I'ma close that. That's not enough. We don't really have nice spaces here. Look at Bitcoin though, it's popping off. This one is popping off too. This one is going down. I don't think the news is really. We still have Fed Chair Powell speaks. So, you know, we gotta wait for that news. I don't think I'm willing to risk. I'm gonna turn this to one lot. So the news is good for crypto, but really bad for the economy. PPI is good for crypto. As you can see, crypto is popping off. Is booming. By the way, how do I see comments in my stream? Do I just... Oh, okay. No. Go back. So we still have like a couple of minutes. Where's live stream? Here. Okay. I have one view. Can't even say views, bro. No. How do I see the comments, bro? Dashboard. Do I have live dashboard? I have 3 subs? Damn. always wondered, where do we watch these types of? Because I never really. Where do I watch these? Oh, here.
Ang perang tulog. Sa inflation, sunog. Push. Push.
Thank you to the authors of the papers, to the discussants, and to our panel participants. And thank you also to Trevor and his team for organizing this conference. A whole lot of work went into bringing us together. As in our last review, the 2025 review consists of 3 key elements. This conference, Fed Listens events at the reserve banks around the country, and policymaker discussions and deliberations supported by staff analysis at a series of FOMC meetings. In the current review, we will reconsider aspects of our strategic framework in light of the experience of the last 5 years. We will also consider possible enhancements to the committee's policy communication tools regarding forecasts, uncertainty, and risks. In 2012, the FOMC first codified our monetary policy framework in a document entitled "The Statement on Longer-Run Goals and Monetary Policy Strategy," which we refer to as the Consensus Statement. The language in the opening paragraph, which has never changed, articulates our commitment to fulfilling our congressional mandate and to explaining clearly what we're doing and why. That clarity reduces uncertainty, improves the effectiveness of our policy, and enhances transparency and accountability. As chair, Ben Bernanke led the committee through the creation of that initial consensus statement, adopting a 2% inflation target and outlining our approach to achieving our congressionally assigned dual mandate. The framework laid out in that document broadly aligned with best practices for a flexible inflation targeting central bank. The structure of the economy evolves over time, and monetary policymakers' strategies, tools, and communications need to evolve with it. The challenges presented by the Great Depression differ from those of the Great Inflation and the Great Moderation, which in turn differ from the ones we face today. A framework should be robust to a broad range of conditions, but also needs to be updated periodically as the economy and our understanding of it evolve. From 2012 to 2018, the FOMC voted at each January meeting to reaffirm the consensus statement, in most years without substantive changes. In 2019, we changed that practice, conducting our first ever public review, and said that we would repeat such reviews at roughly a 5-year interval. There's nothing magic about a 5-year pace. We believe that frequency is appropriate to reassess structural features of the economy and to engage with the public, practitioners, and academics on the performance of our framework. Several of our global peers have adopted similar approaches to their framework reviews.
It's an order block.
At the time of the last review, we had been living for about a decade in a new normal characterized by proximity to the effective lower bound, with low interest rates, low growth, low inflation, and a very flat Phillips curve. If I could capture that era with one statistic, it would be that the policy rate had been stuck at the lower bound for 7 long years following the onset of the global financial crisis in late 2008. After liftoff in December 2015, we were able to raise the policy rate only very gradually over a period of 3 years to a peak of just 2.4%. 7 months later, we began reducing it, leaving the rate at 1.6% in late 2019, where it would be when the pandemic arrived a few months later. Policy rates in other major advanced economies were even lower, in many cases below zero, and in all such economies, inflation regularly ran below its target.
I'm not, though.
The sense at that time was that when the economy next experienced even a mild downturn, we would be right back at the lower bound, probably for another extended period.
If
the post-financial crisis decade had demonstrated the pain that that could bring.
the
Inflation
1 hour
would likely
time frame
decline
doesn't
in a
break
weak
this and it
economy,
starts going
raising
down.
real interest rates as nominal rates are pinned at zero. Higher real rates would further weigh on job growth and reinforce downward pressure on inflation and inflation expectations.
Yeah, for me, I think
Reflecting these concerns, we adopted a policy to make up for persistent shortfalls from the inflation target, an approach that was common in the extensive literature on the risks associated with the lower bound. Given the downside risks to employment and inflation from proximity to the lower bound, and the need to anchor longer-term inflation expectations at 2%, we said that following periods in which inflation has been running persistently below 2%, we would likely aim to achieve inflation moderately above 2% for some time. We also concluded that policy decisions would be informed by assessments of shortfalls rather than deviations from maximum employment. The change to shortfalls was not a commitment to permanently forswear preemption or to ignore labor market tightness. Rather, it signaled that apparent labor market tightness would not, in isolation, be enough to trigger a policy response, unless the committee believed that, if left unchecked, it would lead to unwelcome inflationary pressure. This change reflected our experience with long expansions that featured historically low unemployment amid low and stable inflation, suggesting that a policy approach that carefully probed for the maximum level of employment could bring about the benefits of a strong labor market without risking price stability. In the years just prior to the pandemic, for example, unemployment was at multi-decade lows while inflation ran below 2%. By December 2019, estimates of the long-run unemployment rate had fallen sharply. The use of shortfalls acknowledged that a combination of low inflation and low unemployment does not necessarily pose an adverse trade-off for monetary policy. The economic conditions that brought us close to the lower bound and drove the changes in our consensus statement were thought to be rooted in slow-moving global factors that were likely to persist for an extended period, at least until our next 5-year review. And that might well have been the case had the pandemic not intervened. The idea of an intentional moderate overshoot proved irrelevant to our policy discussions and has remained so through today. There was nothing intentional or moderate about the global inflation that arrived a few months after we announced our changes to the consensus statement. And I acknowledged as much publicly in December 2021.
$2 profit.
We fell back on the rest of the framework, which called for traditional inflation targeting. Through the end of 2021, FOMC participants continued to forecast that inflation was likely to subside fairly quickly in 2022, with only a moderate increase in our policy rate. That projection was consistent with other central banks with different frameworks and the vast majority of forecasters. When the evidence showed otherwise, we hiked 525 basis points over a period of 16 months. The most recent data suggests that 12-month PCE inflation was 2.2% in April, far below its 7.2% peak in 2022. And in a welcome and historically unusual result, as this room knows, this disinflation has come without the sharp increase in unemployment that has often accompanied a campaign of rate hikes to reduce inflation. The economic environment has changed significantly since 2020, and our review will reflect our assessment of those changes. Longer-term interest rates are a good deal higher now, driven largely by real rates, given the stability of longer-term inflation expectations. Many estimates of the longer-run level of the policy rate have risen, including those in the Summary of Economic Projections. Higher real rates may also reflect the possibility that inflation could be more volatile going forward than during the inter-crisis period of the 2010s. We may be entering a period of more frequent and potentially more persistent supply shocks, a difficult challenge for the economy and for central banks. While our policy rate is currently well above the lower bound, in recent decades we have cut the rate by about 500 basis points when the economy is in recession. Although getting stuck at the lower bound is no longer the base case, it is only prudent that the framework continue to address that risk. While the framework must evolve, some elements of it are timeless. Policymakers emerged from the Great Inflation with a clear understanding that it was essential to anchor inflation expectations at an appropriately low level. During the Great Moderation, well-anchored inflation expectations allowed us to provide policy support to employment without risking destabilizing inflation. Since the Great Inflation, the U.S. economy has had 3 of its 4 longest...
You don't screw this. We'll make our own. So we're going to be making our own framework, like what Mr. Jerome Powell is, doing. Okay, so let's open up a whiteboard right here. Clear all. Okay, so this is a scalping. To $2000. Go to Pinterest. I have pictures in my phone, but I don't know. Look at the market real quick. Wait, why is the leverage? Wait. No, I just realized the leverage isn't. Oh, but the leverage is 1,000. Okay, screw that. Anyways, so here, I like this car. This one looks good. Boom. Oh, damn. Alright, let's go for a Google presentation. Oh, no, Canva. Yeah, Zersky. Nope. Create whiteboards. Just an unlimited whiteboard. Okay, so guys, this is our framework. Okay, nothing significant happening right now. That's the 4-hour time frame. Look at the 1 hour. Let's wait for 1 hour close anyways. First of all, this is a delete that. Scalping to S2000. So that is the goal. Okay. And then Control V. Nope. Have it. Okay, I'll just download it. Why is the quality so poor? Okay, honestly, this one's okay. Boom. If you'll let me paste it. Boom. There. So we're gonna be scalping to an S2000. So this is our goal, and we have rules for our scalping. You know, it ain't just. Honestly, I see a buy opportunity right here. If I see another $2 profit, then I'm taking it. Anyways, what happened? Alright, I don't know what happened. That's crazy. Anyways, so we're gonna be scalping for it to an S2000. So, first off, this is a 30. Where's the dollar? To S2000. There. So this is what I'm doing. $30 to S2000. I mean, it was supposed to be 15, but you know, let's see what we could do. And let's start adding the rules. The rules are, if I get liquidated, how do I, okay, rules, bam, that's stupid, rules, just increase it by like 24, anyways. So the rules to my challenge are, so first is, okay, so let's go. Quick update, we're at $34. We made profit. We made $4 profit. So yeah, I'm gonna be ending this video at probably $40. Let's see what we could do. But anyways, so while waiting, so the rules are, number one is, if I get liquidated, I can only deposit per week. Alright, so that's the first rule, because you know, I don't have unlimited budget. I have to pay for food, for school, because I'm, you know, living off my mom. So if I get liquidated, I can only deposit per week. So if I get liquidated today, hey, I'm gonna be streaming again next week. Second rule would be every week I would take 10% of profit and offer it because I'm a Christian. And then I would take the other 10% and donate it to um charity platform or whatever. So that's my plan right now. 10% and donate it. What's this? So yeah. So that will be 20%. So if I make $20, oh, if I had held it, I would have made the $40 already. But anyways, I know this will come down in a bit. So that's a break of structure. Bitcoin is coming down. Here, that's coming down for sure. The US 500, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Okay. So if I make, let's say I make $10 today, and I don't become profitable the whole week. That means, um, $10. So I'm gonna be offering $1. It's kind of sad. And donating $1, which is small, but you know. And yeah. And then what else? What other rules can I make or do? We have one watching. Really? All right. Mhm. That looks like it just grabbed liquidity. I'm gonna sell. Did I just open 2 lots? Okay, that's too risky. Yep, that's too risky. Yeah, that actually is very risky. Mhm. This does a break of structure. I'm closing it. And scalping upwards. It looks like it's gonna break the structure. I should have closed it when it was break even. Oh wait, it's coming down. Let's just wait. Be patient, you know. If we liquidate this, then we just gotta thank the Lord. It's what He planned. Mm-hmm. So yeah, 3 minutes until gets decided if it's a break of structure. I might be closing this at $2 profit. 2 lots is too big. 0.02 lots is too big for my account right now. And that's me burning my whole. That's the whole account burned. I mean, the whole profit burned. I don't even know why I sold. Wait for it to come down a bit. Japan. Okay, I took the $2 loss. We had no choice, but like, you know. And now it's going down. And could have been break even. This is a fair value gap. Honestly, I'm short bias here. And this is a clip of me burning $30 for nothing. Alright, so my emotions are getting into me, but like, you know, that's part of trading. Gotta get used to this. This is, you know, you know what they say. No risk, no Ferrari. You know what I mean? Oh, damn. Okay, that doesn't work. I'll close at break even. I could be short bias right here.